Are they still here? And he turns and addresses you as a group.
You mean the elders?
The druids are here, yes.
Damn it. Yes, the elders, as you say. Is that what they go by now?
No, it's not. It's not.
It is.
It's really not.
It is. That's what they told me.
They're not called elders.
What they told me.
We were supposed to investigate reports of ghosts.
Investigate reports.
Investigate. Okay.
Investigation was done.
An investigation was done. We went into the forest, which we were very promptly warned about as we tried to enter. And we almost equally as promptly disregarded the warnings. Ended up going through a forest, and everybody else almost got stampeded by boars, but Orlo was up in a tree playing it safe. So I think Flo was hiding behind a tree.
Indeed, I was.
I also hid behind a tree.
And
I think you listened to what the boars were saying, which was
who listened to the boars? Who did the animals speak?
Yeah, I did.
And what did they say?
Like something along the lines of scared giant thingy, bad. And then what we did is we went towards the thing they were running from.
We did, in fact, do that. And then we came upon a little ghosty. And it seemed to be friendly to Laya. It was a humanoid ghosty that seemed to be beckoning us to follow. And then we came upon a clearing with a big pond lake thing. And then there was a pillar with an orb on it in the center of the pond. And Laya decided when she heard them asking for help that she was going to go into the water. And then she was like, oh, I'm going to touch the orb. And then she poked it and nothing happened. So she was like, cool. So then she slid it into her backpack and then took it. And then everyone almost died. But then she stabbed the orb and she almost died and blinded everyone. And then somehow things were fine.
Yeah.
Worked out.
I think they were fine. As far as we could tell at the moment, they're fine. They could go south very quickly because all we heard was, what was it? Orb, stab, blind, explode, thank you. We don't know what we did. We don't know who's thanking us. We don't know their intentions.
I mean, the person that should be thanked probably is Laya, since, she stabbed the orb.
Yeah.
Went out there while you were hiding.
Yep. Yeah, while Orlo was covering his eyes.
I mean, it was effective, wasn't it?
No?
I distinctly remember trying to throw you a lasso as well, so. While you were sinking into the abyss of the lake of the North Forest that we have no idea about.
Well, you guys definitely handled the recap very well. But where we last left our intrepid heroes, you were gathering yourselves, standing by the edge of the lake, and there was a middle-sized human, probably a little bit shorter than Laya and Ayla, but very kind of stocky built. And kind of bracing himself now as he's trying to gather his surroundings and himself. And he turns and looks at Laya, who is now... were you fully healed or pretty mostly healed, right?
Mostly.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that I did do that last session. But he kind of turns towards you and sets his hand on your shoulder. And he's very plain, I guess, is the best way to describe it. But his features are very almost, I guess, androgynous is the best word. And he looks at you and he sets his hand on your shoulder and says, in a very kind of huffed voice, he's, thank you. I don't even know how long it's been.
What happened to you?
I truthfully am having trouble recalling at the moment. I think I will need some time to gather myself, but I do remember some kind of a fight, and then just being trapped in this endless plane of nothing. I don't even know how long it's been, and I can't even express the gratitude that I have. My name is Elriel, and you have done me the greatest of services.
Don't mention it.
Where are we right now?
We're in the North Forest of Elriel.
He kind of pauses a moment and runs his hand across his face, and that doesn't sound familiar, but which direction is it to this town?
And she'll just kind of, I'll like point back south, or whichever direction. I guess it's still...
It's mostly south, yeah.
Okay.
And he kind of steadies himself a little bit, and he turns and starts to walk, and just kind of pauses for a moment and just sits down, just in the grass, and just says, I will head that way soon. I need some time to gather myself.
Do you know what that thing was that had trapped you?
I don't know what it was that trapped me. That thing that you just saw was not it, though.
All right. Do you know what it was?
It was some kind of devil. It most certainly came from the Hell Plains, with no question. And he kind of looks around at the group of you and just kind of stares for a moment at each one of you, kind of blankly almost, and just nods his head and moves on to looking at the next one of you, kind of looks you up and down, and just continues to kind of gently shake his head up and down.
Question. This guy's a ghost, right?
No, it is,
Oh.
as from what you can tell, just looks very human in nature.
All right then. Okay.
Do any of you want to do anything while he's kind of taking his time to just look at each one of you?
Nope.
I think I'm good.
I'm gonna offer him some of my rations and my water skin.
He kind of shakes his head and looks at it and very politely declines and says, "No, thank you. I just need a moment to gather my head. I am good otherwise." And he sits for a few minutes and gathers his thoughts, and you can hear him just very gently breathing, and he doesn't move very much. And he eventually stands up and looks back at you and lets out a deep sigh and says, "Thank you again. You truly can never know the debt that I owe you. What say you that I accompany you back to..." And he looks at Lions. Elriel, you said yes?
Yes, sir.
If you are heading back that way, it is, I suppose. I would much like the company, and I will do my best to piece together what I remember, if that is amicable to all of you.
And I'll just like look around at everybody else to make sure they don't have any objections.
Flo has. I have nothing to say.
Flo's mad at me.
I'm not even part of the conversation right now. I'm just posted up on a tree.
Yeah,
look at me.
I don't have any
Don't talk
objections.
to me.
Orlo is just. I'm still just convinced there's ghosts around, so.
Well, he starts to make his way forward, and he takes a few steps and then waits for you guys to start moving with him. Are you guys going to continue with him, or are you just going to stay there for the time being?
I'll follow him.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
nothing else for me to do out here.
Okay, so he starts to walk a little bit ahead of you, and he continually looks back as he's talking and makes sure that he's going in the right direction as well. But his tone is very calming. He continues to look back at Flo and Orlo specifically, more so than the other two of you. And you can kind of sense that he can't feel what you're feeling, but he can feel that there is something wrong, with the way that you are looking at him. He can feel that animosity. But he continues to kind of talk, and he's piecing things together, and a lot of it is just garbled and babble for the most part, but you guys probably make it about halfway back. And at a certain point, he stops and goes, "If I remember correctly, I was sent no, not sent, called by a very powerful being to help her to help her do something. I don't. And Laya, go ahead and give me a history check, if you would.
I'm just gonna lean over. I'm gonna kind of catch up to Flo and whisper. Hopefully, so nobody else hears us, and just be like, Flo, did he say hell planes earlier? Because that does not. I don't like that at all.
What a baby.
And I'm just gonna silently nod.
Okay.
I got a 21, not natural.
Nice. You, from the very brief amount that you have read that book that you have, that Zarinka gave you, it's actually one of the first things that you came across. And you do remember something about this big battle of these powerful creatures. Not probably a few hundred years ago. And it was between a witch and a priest.
I'm sorry, sir. Who were you called to help?
I can't remember her very well. I just remember that she called and I answered.
And I'll just kind of nod, and I'm just gonna stay silent.
Okay. And he kind of pauses for a few more seconds and just shakes his head and just says, sorry, we can continue on. And he just kind of like puts his hand up and starts like kind of pointing his finger, like looking for a heading from one of you.
I'll just go up and walk like next to him.
Okay.
And like help lead him back.
Okay. Go ahead, since you're going to do that, go ahead and give me a quick survival check as well.
Not natural 20.
So it takes a few minutes as you guys are coming back through from the pond back through the woods, and you do make it back to where the original path that you guys had come out on is. Not quite where you had left it, but somewhere a little bit further up, heading back towards the town. And you guys continue on. And as you draw closer and closer, you do see that Amriel keeps replaying these events to the best of his ability in his head. And he, he'll every now and then shake his head and just mumble to himself. And as you guys make it to kind of the precipice of the town, he kind of stops and looks and focuses, and you can tell, Laya, because you're standing next to him, but he focuses specifically on the tree, like the main building of the town. And he looks at it and says, This is not always what this was, but I recognize this place. This used to be a druid grove a very long time ago. Are they still here? And he turns and addresses you as a group.
You mean the elders?
The druids are here, yes.
Damn it. Yes, the elders, as you say. Is that what they go by now?
No, no, it's not. It's not.
It is.
It's really not.
It is.
They're
That's
not-
what they
they're
told
not-
me.
They're not called elders.
That's what they told me.
And he kind of pauses and looks between you and Laya and Ayla, and it's just visible confusion on his face. And he goes, very, very well. That's fine. Are they still centralized in that building, I presume?
Yes, the fancy building.
Very well. I would much like to go there, if that is acceptable.
Yeah, we've been there before.
We should probably take him to Sorith.
And when you say that name, he immediately kind of turns towards you, and he pauses and kind of cocks his head a little bit and says, "Say that name again, please."
Sorith?
That name sounds very, very familiar.
Well, then we should definitely take you to him.
Very well. I will follow you. And you guys make your way there. It's only a few minutes, and especially at this point, you know where you're headed to, and you've been in the town very briefly, but it's very easy to navigate around. It's all one pretty much large circle around this centralized building, and you make your way through and up to the front of the big opening in the tree. And do you guys want to head in and directly to where Sorith was the last time you saw him, or do you want to stop and ask somebody where he is, or do you want to just kind of hang out and wait until somebody addresses you?
Probably just ask someone. Probably be the quickest way.
Okay. As was before when you came in, there's a bunch of people kind of just wandering around doing whatever tasks they have to do at the moment. So one of them would be very easy to grab and get a hold of. She would stop, and Ayla, if you want to grab her, and she kind of looks at you and says, "Yes, what can I do for you?"
Hi, we're looking for Sorith.
He should be. Well, he'll either be in the study or in his. I'll go find him for you. And she kind of goes and runs off real quick. After a few minutes pass, she comes back, and Sorith is following behind her, and he's reading something out of a tome or of some sort, and he's walking and reading, and you see as he's walking down the hallway, people keep kind of moving out of his way as he's just walking down the middle of the hallway. And as he kind of gets closer to you guys, he stops dead in his tracks, and his head just snaps up, and he's looking directly at Elriel.
I am just going to look between the two of them, very uncomfortable, like,
I just lean down to Laya. What's happening?
it would seem they might know each other. I don't know how, though.
Should we ask?
You go ahead, Orlo.
Oh no, this is your show.
And after this brief pause, Flo,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't recognize the words that are said, but you would recognize some of the tonality of this language that's being spoken between them. It has a very familiar sound to it, but you don't understand the language specifically. But Laya, you very much do. And you hear this language exchange between the two of them, and the other two of you would have zero idea about the yeah, no, probably not. Neither one of you would have really any idea. You would just hear kind of this garbled sound of very deep aggressive sounds. Think like how German sounds to a normal person, or Russian, how they're just kind of an aggressive language. This is what it would sound like to you. And Laya, I will message you exactly what is said, and if you want to relay it, you are more than welcome to.
And I'll look back at Orlo as they're talking, and well, they definitely know each other.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm not sure yet. He's been in there for 400 years.
In the thing?
In the orb?
Maybe? He's been gone for 400 years.
The hell plane?
Oh, so he hasn't been gone that long then.
They just called each other old friend. So at least there's that.
I don't know that old friend always means good.
Really?
What kind of old friends do you have?
Well, I don't think we have time to get into that right now.
And after they exchange those few words, they stop, and Sorith notices you, specifically Laya, and he kind of draws off the last sentence and just kind of clears his throat. I do apologize. Welcome back. I see that you have had some form of success or another, yes?
You might say that, I suppose.
Yeah, you might.
Well, follow me. Come sit down. I am sure you're more than exhausted by this point. And he kind of walks down the hall a little bit and pulls you off into a larger side room, and sits you down and looks at you. Food, water, wine. What do you need? What can I get for you? And he seems very flustered.
Answers. What exactly did you send us after?
I didn't know what I sent you after initially. I see now what you returned with. Um, forgive me. He kind of takes a deep breath and, well, what happened? And he's now addressing Elriel, and Elriel turns to him and says, I truthfully, I do not remember everything that happened. I have very fragmented memories. I remember that she called me and I answered, and then I fought, and I don't remember much that happened after that. And then I remember wandering alone across just an endless void for what seemed like forever, and I remember dreaming and seeing the forest around me and people occasionally, but they seemed frightened by me, and I do not know why. And Sorth kind of sits and is just listening and stands up and sets his hand on Elriel's shoulder and says, well, it's been over 400 years now that you've been missing. I don't remember entirely what had happened, but I do remember that the priest was playing host to some kind of demon or devil or evil being, and I presume that whatever happened that day, you were trapped by whatever dark magics that they used.
So then, were you called to help the priest or the witch?
And Sorith looks over towards you and says, Lady Seldana was a witch that spent quite a bit of time in our forests. She would help those around her, and occasionally she would even go well out of her way to provide necessities to the village, to us in the grove, whatever was needed. She would always be there for us. Then this person came along trying to spread whatever cryptic dark religion he had, and I don't know what happened there that day, but clearly he was host to something much, much more powerful than any of us thought.
So she called you for help, and you went to help and got possessed by a demon that sent you to an endless void that then used you to prey on people trying to help you. Do I have that right?
Mostly. She called me to help. I was trapped by some kind of dark magic, and then I've been held captive ever since you wonderful people came along.
Why did she call you for help?
Because it is what I do.
But what did she need help with?
Containing whatever dark magic this priest was trying to unleash.
I'm just gonna sit back.
And you're the only one that was affected by this magic.
As far as I know, he turns towards Soreth and looks at him, and he would be a much better one to ask at this point, I believe.
Do I notice anything strange about the way that Soreth is acting? Specifically, like in general, but also specifically if he's acting strange towards me.
He doesn't seem to be acting particularly strange towards you. He seems flustered. He seems not nervous, but he seems just mostly confused. He's kind of unsure of what is going on at the moment. Like he obviously recognizes Elriel, but he's kind of trying to piece together the events of what is happening. I think just the same as you are.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you saw that message, Sam. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And after a few more minutes pass, Soreth turns towards Elriel again and says, I don't know how she will feel about this, nor if she will particularly remember, or if she would even care to see you, but one of the daughters of Sildana still lives very nearby. She carries on her mother's traditions as to lending aid to the nearby village, and especially as of late, she has been helping contain whatever madness is going on. And Elriel looks almost kind of sullen, and he turns towards the group of you and says, I couldn't bear to see her. I don't know how she would look upon me, knowing what happened, but if you are looking for more answers, she very well may have them for you.
What exactly makes you think she wouldn't want to see you? What is it that happened?
Well, I know that when Sildana called on me, she was not going to make it. And the only hope she had was that I was there to help. And I'm not sure what happened, but I can almost assuredly say that there's no way that she is still alive.
But the fault doesn't lie with you. You did what you could to help, and it was more than either of you could have anticipated.
Yes, but as you well know, that does not always matter to the person who has lost something.
It's probably so. Is it? But what time of day is it?
At this point, it's very early morning
Okay, so it took us an entire day.
because you guys went out there, and it took about 4 hours to get there. You were left probably around, early afternoon. By the time you got out there, everything had happened. And by the time you are back, it's probably very early in the morning. It's probably like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Well, it sounds like her daughter might have some of the answers that we seek, both for Amriel,
Amriel.
and in general. Why don't we take the day to rest and recuperate and go see her tomorrow? And I'll like look around at the group, especially Flo.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm just going to prop myself up off the wall. Give a sort of half heartfelt salute and make my way out of the room.
Sorith looks at the remaining 3 of you and says, I will arrange everything with Zrinka. I will ensure that she knows that whenever you are ready to direct you towards Granny May and whatever else you may need, I will gladly be here for.
I guess you guys want to head back to Zrinka's place,
Yeah.
settle in.
Sounds like a good idea.
Before I walk out, I'll like look back at Sorith and say something to him in Draconic. I'll message it to you.
Sounds good. So yeah, you guys go ahead and make your way out into the hallway. You can see the front door from where you are. Flo, I assume you just started walking towards like the tavern. And you guys can see Flo a little bit ahead of you. And do you guys want to do anything else before you make your way back there?
I don't.
I don't
Can
think
you
so.
think of anything, Orlo?
No, not right now. I think we yeah, yeah. I don't have anything.
And you guys go ahead and make your way back. As you guys walk through the door, excuse me, there's a table that, I mean, the tavern is mostly empty at this point. Most of the people are farmers. They're asleep. There's like 2 or 3 people in, but there's also a table that is empty, but it has 4 large mugs on it that appear quite ready for you if you are so willing to sit down and have them.